Welcome, my dear guests, to the captivating expanses of my story. Chapter 2. Sevia stood upright, with her head lifted up, in front of the hollow recording machine. The red light indicated that it was transmitted live to the entire Eurasian core system. She took a deep breath, then began to speak, her voice firmly and clearly. Citizens of Kasach, today, January 10, 2200, is a historic day for our empire. The EK Asimov, our first interstellar research ship, will be put into service. This impressive ship embodies our tireless urge for knowledge and progress. There was a solemn atmosphere on the streets of the capital. Thousands of people had gathered to witness this critical moment. Flags were blowing in the wind, and children cheered and waved with miniature EK Asimov models. Exploring the unknown is invaluable to our society, Sevia continued. With each new horizon we reach, we expand our knowledge and perspective. We learn to grow beyond ourselves and to understand our place in the universe. She smiled warmly at the camera. I wish Commander Emma Hart and her brave crew all the best for their first mission. May the new hyperspace drive safely take them to the stars and beyond. May they discover miracles that we could not even imagine. As Sevia spoke, the EK Asimov moved majestically. Accompanied by an honorary escort from combat ships, she slips out of the space dock and into outer space. The crowd rejoiced as the vessel passed, the envelope shining in the light of the red giant Eurasia. Let us revel in this moment, Sevia declared, and let us face the future with courage, curiosity, and determination. As long as we stand united and strive for the stars, there are no boundaries to what we can achieve. The universe is our canvas, and we are the artists of our destiny. With these words, the broadcast ended, and the EK Asimov accelerated to sublight speed, ready to advance into the vastness of space and take its place in history. Sevia was sitting in her private conference room, the face of Emma and Paulina on the hollow screens in front of her. Commandant Hart, what is the status of EK Asimov? She asked. Emma smiled. The ship is in excellent condition, Impreatrix. We are ready for our first jump. And where is the journey to go? Into the Citus system, Emma answered with glowing eyes. It is one of the most promising uncharted systems near us. We believe there could be unique resources and possibly even traces of extraterrestrial life. Sevia nodded in appreciation. That was a courageous choice for your first mission, Commander. When are you planning to jump? On May 5th, after the completion of the 5-day charging phase of our new hyperspace drive, explained Emma. We can't wait to get started. Sevia turned to Paulina. Admiral Romero, what about the Pegasus fleet? Paulina stood up. In the meantime, we will conduct exercises in the home system to increase our combat readiness. We must remain vigilant while the EK Asimov is coming. Good idea, Sevia agreed. And what about EK Belarus? Is there any progress in exploiting our last unexplored source of raw materials? Paulina nodded furiously. Yes, but it's a hard piece of work. The conditions out there are brutal, even for our most experienced workers. But we are moving forward, and these resources will be crucial to our further expansion. Excellent. Sevia turned back. It seems that we have all our tasks ahead of us. Commander Hart, I wish you and your crew a successful and safe mission. May you discover miracles and expand our knowledge. Emma bowed her head respectfully. Thank you, Impreatrix. We will do our best. And Admiral Romero, continued Sevia, ensure our homeland remains safe. The citizens of Kazakhstan count on you. Paulina said hi. In order, Impreatrix. Sevia smiled. Then everything is said. May the light of Eurasia illuminate our way, wherever it leads us. Sevia was sitting on her throne when Nadine entered the hall. The religious sister approached her with a severe face, holding a scroll firmly in her hand. Impreatrix, said Nadine with a narrow bend. I bring an official message from the High Council of Genetic Guards. Sevia raised an eyebrow. Speak, Sister Nadine. What does the church have to say? Nadine unrolled the parchment and began to read. Helix's High Council herewith formally protests against the planned mission of EK Asimov. What evil will come upon Kasach if this ship jumps into the hyperspace is unpredictable. Sevia's eyes narrowed. Unhappiness? Explain yourself. Mixing with foreign cultures and worlds threatens the purity of our people, Nadine replied vigorously. Who knows what kind of impure influences and genetic contaminations the crew of EK Asimov could bring? It's too much of a risk. Sevia leaned back on her throne, with her fingers thoughtfully joined together. And what does the High Council propose? Stop this madness before it is too late, Nadine insisted. Stop the mission before we all have to pay for it. The genetic purity of our people must be preserved at all costs. Sevia remained silent for a long moment. Then she said slowly, I respect the concerns of the Church, Sister Nadine. But we cannot be guided by fear. The EK Asimov is a symbol of our progress and our future. We need to open new horizons to grow and thrive. Nadine pressed her lips together. But at what price, Impreatrix? Is the potential gain worth sacrificing our identity and most sacred beliefs? Sevia stood up from her throne, looking firmly at Nadine. I will reflect on the words of the High Council, she said. But the mission will continue as planned. The future is not waiting for us. We must face it, with all its challenges and possibilities. Nadine leaned steadily. As you wish, Impreatrix. But Helix will not remain silent when the purity of our people is at stake. I promise you. With these words, she turned around and left the room, tightly clinging to the scroll. Sevia looked at her, her face a mask of determination. Whatever the future would bring, it would lead its people, even if it meant confronting the Empire's most powerful religious institution. Sevia stood on the podium in the large hall of the Rijksuniversiteit, her eyes gliding over the crowd of graduates. Her time as a student seemed to be ages ago, yet she still vividly remembered the excitement and uncertainty that had been in the air at the time. Dear graduates, she began, her voice clear and powerful. Today is a day of celebration and transition. You have years of hard work and dedication behind you and are now on the threshold of a new phase in your life. She smiled, her eyes reflecting the memories. I, too, was once a student here. I recall the late nights in the library, the passionate debates with classmates, the moments of clarity and confusion. It was a period of immense personal growth and self-discovery, a time that laid the groundwork for everything that followed. Sevia paused, her gaze sweeping over the eager faces. Now, it's your turn to forge your own path. The world beyond these walls is a vast expanse of opportunities and trials. It will pose questions, challenge your beliefs. Embrace it, for it is in these moments of uncertainty that we truly grow. She raised her hand as if to underline the words, be open to the unknown. Explore new ideas and perspectives. Ask what you are told and form your own opinions. The world needs thinkers and visionaries prepared to leave their paths. Then, her tone became more serious. But do not forget your responsibility to the kingdom. Kazakh needs your talents, your passion, and your ingenuity. Find ways to make a meaningful contribution, whether in science, art, politics, or wherever your strengths lie. Work to improve our society and create a better future for all. Sevia's smile was filled with hope. You, my dear graduates, are the architects of our future. The choices you make, the paths you tread, will shape our beloved kingdom. Embrace this responsibility with pride and humility, for it is a privilege that few are granted. She took a step back and raised her arms. Go out and make your way. Learn, grow, and make your contribution. And know that Kazakh will always be your home, no matter where life leads you. Applause burned up when Sevia left the stage. She hoped that her words would inspire and encourage the young graduates, for in them was the future, a future full of opportunities and challenges to overcome. Myra Gupta made her way through the crowd of graduates and guests, smiling politely. When she reached the Empress, she bowed respectfully. Your Highness, I thank you for these inspiring words, she said. Your speech has touched many young hearts and winged ghosts. Sevia nodded thankfully. I hope so, new Governor Gupta. Our future is in their hands. Myra came closer, lowering her voice. Impreatrix, may I take a moment of your time? It is about the upcoming construction projects here in Kasach. Sevia's eyes shone with interest. Of course. I'm all ears. As you know, some influential families would like to be involved in the projects, Myra explained. They see it as an opportunity to increase their reputation and present themselves as benefactors. Sevia squeezed her forehead slightly. I understand. But we must be careful not to give the impression of a favorable economy. The projects must serve the good of all, not just the fame of a few fewer. Myra nodded in agreement. Of course, Your Highness. I was thinking of a solution where families can give generously, but the government retains control of the projects. This ensures that the needs of the population are given priority. A smile spread over Sevia's face. A wise idea, Governor. In this way, we promote common sense and prevent self-benefit. Please draw up a plan and present it to me. With pleasure, Impreatrix. Myra radiated, apparently delighted with the approval. I'll do it right away. Sevia laid a hand on Myra's shoulder. I very much appreciate your commitment to the good of our people, Myra. Together, we will lead Kazakh to a new blossom. Myra bowed again, her heart whole of pride and diligence. This is what you can count on, Your Highness. With your leadership and the strength of our people, we will accomplish great things. Sevia nodded, then turned again to the waiting guests. Myra resigned, with her head full of plans and ideas. There was a lot to do, but with the wisdom of the Empress and the commitment of the people of Kazakh, she felt that every challenge grew. The sun burned relentlessly on Loki's rough surface when the workers of EK Belarus built the new mine base. Their faces were sweaty as they fused the massive tree modules and installed the complex life support systems. Suddenly, anesthetic cracks sounded. The earth began to tremble, and dust and thorns began to swell. Before they figured it out, the base was buried by a huge wreck. Rocks and debris were rising, and the workers were cut off from the outside world. Alarm sirens whispered, desperate calls for help came from the depths of the spilled complex. The few workers who could get to safety stared at the chaos. They knew that every minute counted to save their comrades alive. Admiral Paulina Romero heard the emergency call about 3 days away in the asteroid belt. Her eyes widened as she understood the gravity of the situation. Without hesitation, she ordered the discontinuance of the exercises. The Pegasus fleet is flying immediately to Loki, she dared. We have men and women over there who need our help. Prepare everything for a rescue mission. Hectic operation broke out on the ships as pilots rushed to their hunters and health workers checked their equipment. The powerful engines awakened to life as the fleet took a course on Loki. Romero stood tight on the bridge of her flagship, staring firmly at the stars. She knew that any delay could cost lives, and the workers at Loki counted on her and her men. She blew her fists as the ships accelerated to superlight speed, tormentingly long days in which the outcasts fought to survive. But the Pegasus fleet let her go. Romero vowed to do everything in her power to get her out alive. The rescue mission was a top priority at any cost. A grim smile coughed over her face. Their fighting spirit was awakened, their determination unshakable. The EK Belarus and its brave crew could rely on the Pegasus fleet. Together, they would challenge this hostile planet and bring their people home. Because in the kingdom of Kasach, no one was left behind, not on Loki or anywhere else in the galaxy. Dust and sweat were sticking to Paulina's skin as she wiped off the cliffs in her exoskeleton suit. The landslide had buried EK Belarus under tons of gorul, but the rescue teams could not be discouraged. They tirelessly dug through the rubble, determined to reach their shattered comrades. Day and night, they sailed, laying waste aside and supporting unstable tunnels. Paulina was at the forefront, motivating her people with a determined look and a touching speech. She knew every minute counted and pushed herself and her team to the best. After a week of hard work, her perseverance finally paid off. With a triumphant shout, they released the EK Belarus, its massive envelope scratched and embroidered but intact. Relieved, they helped the locked workers out, who, tired but grateful, blinked into Loki's fierce sun. But the joy of salvation was overshadowed by grief. Not all of them had survived. Some brave souls had fallen victim to the earthquake, buried under tons of debris and rock. It was a heavy blow for the closely related community of EK Belarus and the Pegasus fleet. In a moving ceremony, they remembered the fallen. They erected a simple memorial on a hill overlooking the endless breadth of Loki. The names of the deceased were engraved in the dark stone, an eternal testimony to their courage and sacrifice. Paulina stood with her head down in front of the monument, with her hat in her folded hands. Tears shone in her eyes as she quietly said goodbye to the men and women who had given everything for their comrades and the kingdom. Amidst the grief, a new resolve was born. The survivors, their hearts heavy with loss, pledged to honor the fallen by continuing their work. The EK Belarus, scarred but not broken, would rise from this dark chapter, ready to face new challenges and celebrate new triumphs. When the Pegasus fleet finally left Loki, Paulina looked back at the memorial for the last time. She knew that the victims had not been in vain. Her spirit would live on, inscribed in the kingdom's history and in the hearts of those who knew and loved her. As long as there were brave souls like Paulina, the kingdom of Kasach would not only survive but thrive, reaching for the stars. In the face of adversity, they demonstrated their true strength, standing united, supporting each other, and finding hope and strength even in the darkest of times. Emma Hart stood on the bridge of the EK Asimov, staring firmly at the main screen. Before them, the entry point for the hyperlane node extended to Citas, a shimmering portal into the depths of the universe. Status of the hyperspace drive? She asked quietly and controlled. Linus Vega, the chief engineer, looked up from his console. All systems are green, Commander. The drives are fully charged and ready for use. Emma nodded, satisfied. Months of preparation and hard work she had led them to this moment. The 5th of May, 2200, would be a historic day in the annals, the day when the EK Asimov would make its first trip through the hyperlanes. She turned to her bridge crew, each face a mirror of her determination. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are writing history. Today, we will push forward to where no man has been before. Today begins our journey into the unknown. A collective snoring went through the room, accompanied by a nod of anticipation. They had all worked on this moment for years, making sacrifices and overcoming adversities. Now, it was time to reap the fruits of their work. Emma stood up and raised her chin. Astrogator set course on the hyperplane knots. Engineer Vega, turn on the hyperspace drive. Yes, Commander, the choir sounded as the crew executed their orders. The EK Asimov slipped forward, majestically and elegantly, until it floated in front of the invisible portal. Time seemed to stand still for a heartbeat, as if the universe held its breath. Then Emma gave the decisive order. Dying. The hyperspace drives were brought to life with a tremendous uproar. Energy flashes shake the ship's shell as it plunges into the hyperlane nodes. The stars fade into slides, then into a strudel of light and color when the EK Asimov is catapulted into hyperspace. The ship would navigate through the hidden paths between the stars for the next 7 days, invisible corridors that abolish the laws of space and time. A journey that would have taken years in normal space would now be accomplished in a few days. But the journey would not be without challenges. The crew knew that hyperspace could be unpredictable and full of dangers and anomalies. They had to remain vigilant and ready to react to unforeseen events at all times. Many of the crew put themselves in stasis to save resources and minimize the mental burden. Only one crew remained awake to watch over the ship and monitor its course. As the EK Asimov walked through the shimmering tunnel of the hyperlane, Emma Hart stood at the window of her cab and looked out into the spiraling energy streams. Somewhere beyond this tunnel, Sita and with him, countless wonders and secrets were waiting to be discovered. She smiled, an expression of silent triumph. This was the beginning of a new era of exploration, and EK Asimov would be at the forefront. Whatever the future might bring, they were ready to face it. The EK Asimov emerged from the shimmering tunnel of the hyperlane, sliding silently into the Citas system. In front of them was a familiar-looking image, a dimmer red dwarf star surrounded by a handful of planets and an asteroid belt. Emma Hart stood on the bridge, staring at the ads. The ship's sensors worked on highways, collecting data on the composition of the atmospheres, the gravity, and the surface structure of the celestial bodies. Citas 2 seems promising, murmured Linus Vega, who studied the results on his screen. It has an Earth-like mass, an oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere, water, and an orbit in the habitable zone. It is a potential candidate for life as we know it. Emma nodded. Put course on Citas 2. We'll take a closer look at it. The ship accelerated, gliding majestically through the system. In doing so, it always kept a respectful distance from the rougher fragments of the asteroid belt, which, like a cosmic wire fence, separated the inner from the outer planets. During the 2.5-month trip to the second planet, the crew performed long-distance scans of the entire system. Each department was eager to collect and evaluate as much data as possible. Astronomers mapped the planet's orbits, geologists analyzed the composition of asteroids, and biologists looked for signs of life in the most promising candidate. To maintain the crew's mental and physical health during the long journey, they alternated with the stasis layers. One part of the crew was always put into a deep, dreamless sleep while the other was awake and monitoring the systems. This enabled them to save resources and yet react to unforeseen events at any time. Emma spent many hours studying the incoming data and discussing it with her leadership team. Every new discovery nurtured their excitement and determination to decipher this system's secrets. At the same time, she was aware of her responsibility. As a commander, it was her duty to ensure the safety of her crew and that her exploration was consistent with the protocols and values of the Empire. But the prospect of discovery, new knowledge, and understanding made every challenge seem worthwhile. With each day they came closer to Sita II, Emma's excitement grew. Soon they would stand on the surface of a new planet, ready to explore its wonders and secrets. Emma Hart stared unbelievingly at the scan's results. There was no doubt, Sita II was just so full of life. The biosignatures were distinct, a complex network of flora and fauna extending across the planet's surface. With trembling hands and a mix of excitement and trepidation, Commander Emma Hart activated the quantum communication system and established a connection to home. "This is Commander Emma Hart of the EK Asimov. We have made a monumental discovery. Alien life exists on Sita II. I repeat, we have encountered extraterrestrial life." The news spread like a running fire. Throughout Kazakhstan, people sat in front of the screens while the Imperial News Channel's special program announced the incredible news. EK Asimov has made an astonishing finding on Sita II, the planet is full of alien life. For the first time in history, we have encountered life forms that did not originate in Kazakh. The moderator took a dramatic break before continuing. This amazing discovery has silenced everyone who thought we were alone in the universe. Although none of the alien creatures found on Sita II are intelligent, it is probably only a matter of time before we encounter beings who. But not everyone shared the enthusiasm. This discovery was a shock for the faithful followers of Helix, the Church of Genetic Purity. Her belief in the uniqueness and superiority of the Kazakh genome was shaken. Chaos broke out in the temples and congregation halls. Believers fell on their knees, stretched their hands, and prayed desperately for guidance. Priests tried to calm the upset crowd while they themselves struggled with doubts. "How can this be?" cried an old man with tears in his eyes. "The Holy Scriptures teach us that only we are created in the image of the gods. If there is another life, what does that mean for our faith?" Others responded with anger and denial. "That must be a trick," cried one woman. "A lie to undermine our faith. EK Asimov must have been undermined by heretics." Amidst the chaos, the High Council of the Genetic Guard sat in a somber silence. They were acutely aware that this discovery would not only challenge their authority and teachings, but also the very bedrock of their power. The implications of this revelation were profound and far-reaching. While on Kasach, the joy and crisis of supremacy were struggling, Emma Hart stood on board the EK Asimov and stared respectfully at the images of the alien world. She knew this was only the beginning of a journey that would change humanity forever. A month had passed since the groundbreaking discovery of extraterrestrial life on Sita II had upset the inhabitants of Kasach. The initial excitement and shock had settled, and people began to process the implications, their minds filled with questions about the nature of these otherworldly organisms. Surprisingly, the Empire's priests reacted mostly positively to the reports of the complex but not intelligent organisms found on the distant planet. Thanksgiving was said in the temples and shrines, and many saw in the discovery a confirmation of the greatness of creation, a testament to the vastness and diversity of the universe. But behind the scenes, a heated debate broke out among the spiritual scholars, their differing views sparking a palpable tension. Some argued that the existence of extraterrestrial life proves that humans are the crown of creation, the only beings blessed with intelligence and a divine spark. "Don't you see?" preached one honorable priest. "Among all these primitive creatures, we are the chosen ones, destined to rule over the stars." Others were more cautious and urged to be humble. "Who says that we will not one day meet beings equal to or even superior to us?" asked one priestess. "For these organisms are only the beginning, and our true brothers and sisters are still waiting for us beyond the void." Especially the leadership of Helix, the influential Church of Genetic Purity, faced a delicate situation. Their teachings had always emphasized the uniqueness and superiority of the Kazakh genome. How should they react to the discovery of new life? After days of consultations, the religious sister Nadine Heimber, the adopted daughter of the Empress and a senior representative of Helix, announced the Church's official position. "Brothers and sisters," she said in a broadcast throughout the Empire, don't be misled by these discoveries. They do not contradict our sacred teachings but rather confirm them. She continued, these primitive organisms are proof of the majesty and uniqueness of life created by the gods. And amid this creation, we stand, the children of Kasach, as the crown and completion. Her words were heard by many believers and dissipated the worst doubts. But in the halls of power, the leaders of Helix knew that the true impact of these discoveries was still unprecedented. The future was more uncertain than ever, and they would have to remain vigilant to maintain their position. The Imperial Senate's last meeting before the year's end prevailed in an atmosphere of excitement and expectation. Impreatrix Sevia had just announced that she had commissioned the construction of another research ship, the EK Ptolemy, a clear sign of the Empire's commitment to space exploration. But it was Emma Hart's appearance, who was switched on through a whole connection, that sparked the discussions. The commander of the EK Asimov requested a new expedition, and her words made her listen. We now undoubtedly know that a thriving biosphere does not only occur in Kazakhstan, she explained with bright eyes. The scientific community and the general public are eager to learn more about the various forms of extraterrestrial life found everywhere in the galaxy. A ruin passed through the hall. The discovery of extraterrestrial life had winged humans' imaginations and renewed their desire for knowledge and exploration. Ensures to catalog the life forms we encounter are already underway, Emma continued, but our xenobiologists have urged us to focus our efforts to study planets on habitable, life-friendly worlds. As soon as the meeting was over, a lively discussion broke out among the senators. Admiral Paulina Romero, Governor-in-Office Myra Gupta, and Sister Nadine Heimber, all members of the Senate, took the floor. A further expedition is essential for our security, Romero argued firmly. We need to know what's out there to detect potential threats early and prepare for them. Gupta, on the other hand, emphasized the economic aspects. Exploring new worlds could give us access to unprecedented resources and trading partners. It would be negligent not to take advantage of these opportunities. Nadine Heimber was more restrained. We should be careful and consider the impact on our faith and culture. Too fast expansion could have unforeseen consequences. Other senators voted in favor, raised further arguments, or expressed concerns. The debate was passionate and controversial, weighing back and forth. Eventually, Sevia stood up and offered rest. I have heard your words and will carefully weigh them. A decision of this magnitude requires wisdom and vision. Her gaze glided over the faces of those present and remained attached to Emma. Commandant Hart, please prepare a detailed expedition plan. The Senate will examine it in depth and decide how to proceed. Emma bowed her head respectfully, a smile on her lips. Yes, Imperatrix. I will present to you a plan that will satisfy our thirst for knowledge while at the same time protecting the interests of the kingdom. This laid the foundation stone for a new era of exploration. Whatever the future, the kingdom of Kazakh would meet her with courage, determination, and an unceasing desire for knowledge and understanding. A week later, Empress Sevia stood on the balcony of her palace and looked out onto the capital city of Xanadu. The streets and squares were filled with people waiting eagerly for their words. Cameras floated in the air, ready to transmit their speech to every corner of the empire. Citizens of Kasach, she began with a clear, penetrating voice. Today is a historic day for our empire. After careful examination and consultation, I decided to approve the expedition proposed by Commander Emma Hart. A ruin passed through the crowd, followed by enthusiastic jubilation. The people whispered and shouted words of approval. Sevia raised her hand to give orders to calm down. This expedition is more than just a scientific mission. It symbolizes our unwavering spirit of research and our quest for knowledge. It shows that we are ready to face the challenges of the unknown and grow beyond ourselves. Her eyes shone with determination. The crew of EK Asimov has already done extraordinary things by discovering extraterrestrial life. Now it is time we doubled their efforts. With the construction of the EK Ptolemy, we will expand our reach and discover even more wonders awaiting us in the stars. Sevia took a break and let her words work, but we must not forget that any exploration involves dangers. Therefore, we will take all necessary precautions to ensure our brave crew's safety and protect our empire's integrity. She kissed Paulina Romero, who was standing in uniform next to her. Admiral Romero will ensure our fleet is ready to support and defend the expeditions. Because as we reach out to the stars, we must never forget to remain vigilant and protect our homeland. Sevia turned to the crowd again. Let us now celebrate this breakthrough to new horizons together. Let us pay tribute to the courage of our explorers and give them our support and thanks. Because with every step they take into uncertainty, they carry the spirit out of Kasach into the galaxy. People cheered and applauded. In their eyes shone the same determination and courage that Sevia saw in the hearts of the crew of EK Asimov and soon also EK Ptolemy. May the stars guide us, and the light of Eurasia illuminate our way, Sevia concluded her speech. For Kasach and the future. The multitude listened to the cry, and their voices were heard from the city's walls. It was a moment of unity and breakup, the beginning of a new chapter in the Empire's history. Hey, I would be happy if you could give my video a like, leave a comment and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date.